My partner and I got an apartment together 3 months ago. He still hasn't moved in. My partner and I have had an apartment together for 3 months now and he still hasn't moved in. I'm really confused on how to handle this cause I keep jumping to different conclusions about what I need to do. So my partner and I decided to get an apartment together in the city. We met when we were 21 and saw each other on and off in secret for 6 years before becoming more involved since both of us were afraid of coming out back then. Well, we have been more comfortable with ourselves and have been going more public about us. We haven't made it officially because neither of us are ready, but we have talked about a future together. The lease on my last place ended this past May and he was still living at his parents' house, so in March I asked if we wanted to move in together. He immediately said yes. Since then, it's like he flipped a switch and became a completely different person. He became distant. I suddenly wouldn't hear from him for days. The apartment hunting process was hell. I felt like I had to do it all on my own. I was basically handling everything while I felt like I was pulling teeth to get answers out of him. I would get a day here and there when he became super responsive and helped out a lot, but they were few and far between. During this time I asked him over and over if he really wanted to do this and he kept reassuring me he did. But he then would go missing in action again. I kept telling him that if he didn't want to move in to please just be upfront about it, because I already told my previous landlord I wasn't renewing the lease and I needed to know if I should just get a place by myself or with him. He kept saying he wants to move in with me. We finally agreed on an apartment, one he found in the city. He lives outside of an hour away from where I was living, and we reached out to the leasing agent. Now the lease signing. It took him over a week to finally sign the lease for the place. I started texting him every day asking if he has signed the lease and it's okay if he doesn't want to move in, to just please be upfront. Not a single response. The leasing agent finally reached out to us and said that if the lease wasn't signed by the end of the day she was gonna have to give the APT to someone else. He then finally responded to me saying he filled out the lease and apologized, saying he was afraid to take the next step with me but he is ready now. A few days after that he was talking to me again, but then eventually went AWOL. So the day comes when we get the codes and keys to our new apartment. We meet up and he is telling me he can't believe this day has come. We talked about our new life at the apartment and how we are going to set it up. I move in a week later. For the next few weeks he would bring a few things over slowly but never anything big. He would crash at the apt and leave the next day for work, but then go straight back to his parents' house and stay there for a few days. He would tell me he's gonna officially move in on the weekend. This cycle went on for 6 weeks. Telling me he's gonna officially move in the upcoming weekend and then not do it. It started with him still stopping by on the weekend giving me an excuse to why he couldn't move his stuff in. Then by July he wouldn't even come to the apartment at all. He wouldn't even give me a text to tell me he wasn't coming. I would be super hopeful that he was gonna move in that weekend but be let down every time. By mid-July I was lucky if he'd stop by once a week. Then by the end of July his visits never lasted more than an hour. I sat him down 3 weeks ago to ask if he still wanted to live here. He assured me that he did. He told me he's been battling with depression and really wants to. That he daydreams about setting up the apartment. He thinks of all the stuff we're gonna do there together. I tried to be as supportive as I could, saying I can help him move his stuff and that if he's depressed I'm here for him. But quickly after it went back to him never talking to me or showing up. I reached out to ask if he was okay and he replied saying he'll be by tonight to build some of the furniture we haven't taken out of the boxes yet. I was overjoyed that we were finally gonna start making this our home. But again he didn't show up and I was let down again. Something in me snapped. I was tired of being let down. Tired of the loneliness of being in a new city where I barely know anyone. Tired of sitting around this apartment for 3 months looking at all of our stuff still in boxes and not set up yet. Tired of putting on a fake happy face when people ask how things have been in the new city. Tired of giving excuses to people when they ask to visit. I was going insane in that apartment. Up until this point I was trying my hardest to be patient and understanding but not seeing any change. I sent him a message telling him how hurt I have been from all of this. I told him that I am going to my parents for the next 2 weeks and to just leave me alone while I'm gone. He never replied. The next day I packed up and went to my parents' house. I work from home so I can go anywhere. I wanted to take my cat but my dad is severely allergic so I had to hire a cat sitter. It's now been 2 weeks. I miss my cat so much it hurts but I don't know if I can handle going back there. I told the cat sitter to let me know if it looks like someone is coming in and out of the apartment. Last week she said it looked like someone stopped by. But she hasn't said anything since. I asked today and she said there hasn't been signs of anyone there since last week. I am really hurt, lost, and don't know what to do. If he doesn't want this I wish he would just be upfront with me. Should I continue to be patient with him over this or should I just accept that I may have been led on stopping waiting for him and proceed with my life? Comment. I'm afraid that your relationship has run its course, up. Your partner doesn't seem to mind that you're sitting there all alone for months on end with very limited communication. He keeps promising things over and never follows through. Is that what your relationship will be like once he finally does move in? Is that really what you want for your life? How many nights have you spent crying to yourself because of broken promises? I don't know if he's afraid to take the next step because it's a very serious one or if he is still afraid that your relationship is becoming more public at this point and it's making him uncomfortable. Either way, it's not fair to you. He needs to grow up and decide what he wants from your relationship because at this point, he's putting you through hell for no reason. If he is depressed, which I'm kind of having my doubts about, then he should be getting professional help for it. You tried to help, but he doesn't seem to want to get it. Because he either knows he's not depressed or he is depressed but everything is going to come spilling out once he gets treatment and the fear of that is too much for him to handle. I would send him one last text, telling him your feelings once again and end it by telling him to please come and get his stuff because it's goodbye at this point. You're tired of being jerked around and just plain done with the whole situation. I know it's not what you really want, up, but it doesn't seem like he is going to be able to be the man that you need him to be. If you can't handle staying in the apartment alone, I would visit the leasing agent and see if there's a way to get out of your lease. Explain the situation and see what they have to say. I'm so sorry for all of this happening to you, up. You seem like a really good, and very patient, person and you deserve to be happy and loved. Even if your partner can't be the one to give that to you. It sounds to me like he's scared to death. I think that he has commitment issues, which is probably why you guys were together on and off for 6 years before he committed to you, and he's not comfortable with everyone knowing his personal business. That said, it doesn't excuse his behavior towards you and he does need to man up and either work with you to start building a better relationship or he needs to cut you loose. That sucks about the lease. I had a feeling that was going to be the case. It usually is with apartment rentals. If you decide to go back there, though, instead of focusing on what might have been, focus instead on what could be. He may have been your partner for a significant amount of time, but you'll bounce right back. People float in and out of our lives. Some for a short while, some for the rest of our lives. Each and every one of them will have an impact on you, whether you know it or not, and each of them helps make you who you are. They're a part of you. He'll always be a lost love to you, but he's going to make you a better partner for the next guy because you know what you're not going to put up with in a relationship. As for the money you owe him, for each broken promise and each teardrop that he caused, that's $1 each. You've cried more than that rent money's worth. You don't owe him a damn thing. Good luck, up. Next story 2. My boyfriend and I are trying to take a break. Will it work? My boyfriend and I have had a great relationship together for almost 2 years, but it's also had its ups and downs. I have trust issues, codependency, and depression due to unresolved trauma from my childhood that I've lacked getting treatment for until now. I've taken that out on my boyfriend severely, and while I thought I was being a great girlfriend, I was not. It took him breaking up with me a week ago for me to see that. He hasn't been trying for me for a while now, and instead of taking a step back to recognize my boyfriend is probably unhappy, I was too focused on myself to realize how terribly I was treating him, and we both became unhappy. When he broke up with me, he said that nothing he does is good enough for me and that he tries and tries to make me happy but that he clearly can't. I left his house and was a mess. He reached out to me not even half an hour later, and though still angry was talking like he wanted to still be together and that we just really needed to work on things. We talked on the phone 2 nights after about how we would have an in-person talk in 3 days when I could see him about everything we need to get better at. That night came and it went great. We fully addressed everything and both got emotional. It was a good talk we needed to have. But the next morning my trust issues kicked in and I saw he had downloaded a dating app that we had met on right after he broke up with me. And spent 14 hours on it from Sunday till the Friday that I saw it, while he was telling me we would work things out. It felt like my world came crashing down and I felt like I had no one to blame but myself because of how I've been. My boyfriend said he felt like I didn't truly love him and that maybe he was convincing himself this was fulfilling to him because it's been so long and we're comfortable, but that in doing that he realized this is all he wants and he does see I love him and that he hates he went about it like that to find that out. I am just a mess at that point and we're talking it all out. I'm not sure what to do because he also just broke up with me, but I know it's my fault. Me knowing the person he is and how well he treated me before I forced him to become a shell of himself, I want to stay with him so bad. He makes me feel so comfortable and takes care of me, is always there for me and knows just what to say to make me feel better and good about myself. I did things I shouldn't have that he stayed with me for and was very unappreciative of him now that I'm looking back, which caused him to stop trying for me. We both have had our faults, but I know it's best if we take a break because we need to work on ourselves and can't continue a circle of toxicity. It's been so hard for us to stop talking and start the break. We just want to continue to try together. I just know if we stay together I'd be stressing over who he's talking to and would be up his butt and rude and wouldn't get over my problems. Things would get worse and we'd just end up breaking up down the line. We want to do a break so I can pour myself into hobbies and have a life for myself again, but are just so scared this means we won't have each other again because trust issues and my problems will probably take years to fix. We have talked about all of this and are currently no talking, though it's only been about 3 hours at this point. I am a mess, a complete wreck, but I have been for days. Just a giant ball of anxiety and sadness, and my stomach and body hurt so bad. I have so many regrets and am so scared that he won't ever be mine again. He is so well spoken and really is just the person you'd want by your side, who you know will make a great husband. I hate not knowing if I'm making the right decision, if I should stay with him and try to work on things now that I'm fully aware of my actions, am forced to start working on them and am finally about to start therapy. I want him to be by my side and for us to work on things together, but I also am being told that this is what I need to do and no I'd just be stressing if he's texting anyone. Just feel so lost and confused and am hurting so badly. Comment. Well, for now give him lots and lots of space. Maybe text him and let him know that you're starting therapy to work on your issues, and ask if you could reach out to him again in about 3 months or early in the new year.